Okay, so today we are going to learn on how to do the tablespace level backup, offline tablespace level backup and restore the same. Okay, so Db2 allows you to take an offline tablespace level backup and restore the same. So this has been solidified by an IBM article. I'm going to paste the link of this article into the video description so that you can refer it at a later point in time. Some of the things before going to offline tablespace level backup, some of the things that I would like to highlight is there is no keyword called offline, which means the default backup mode is offline. So if you just say backup DB name and you don't specify anything, the DB2 will try to take an offline backup. What do you mean by offline backup? I'll come to that at the next section. Now, if you want to take an online backup, you have to specify a keyword called online. Again, I would repeat, there is no keyword called offline, which means if you try to take a backup, just like in a simple way, DB2 backup, DB name, in this case, it will try to take an offline backup. But if you want to take an online backup, you have to specify a keyword called online. Now, the offline tablespace level backup, okay, or online, you can take tablespace level backup offline or online. But point here is the database must be in archival mode. Tablespace level backup is not supported in circular mode. Okay, so what actually defines an online and offline backup? We need to understand this also. So I'll try to tell you. You can perform offline backup when database is fully deactivated. So if the database is fully deactivated, the backup that you take at that point in time is offline backup. Okay, there are no existing connections to database. Offline backup can be taken in circular as well as archival logging mode, and this is the default backup mode. Now this is pretty important. If you see, an offline backup can be taken in circular as well as archival logging mode. Now the point is the tablespace level backup, it can be offline, it can be online, but it can be only taken in archival mode. So this is not similar to your full database backup. Full database backup can be taken in circular as well as archival, but tablespace level backup can only be performed in archival mode. Okay. Now, what does an online backup means? An online backup is database is up and running. It can, again, online backup can be performed in archival mode. You cannot perform online backup in circular mode, and you have to specify word online. But when you're trying to take an offline backup, you don't have to specify offline because there is no keyword called offline. Okay, so you have to specify word online while trying to take an online backup. Okay, so now the next point that I would like to highlight is sometimes database will request you to perform the roll forward. Under what conditions database will ask you to perform roll forward? It is determined by two factors, whether the database is in circular mode or archival mode. That is one factor, and the second is type of the backup. Now, if the database is in circular mode, then there is no concept called rolling forward, which means the roll forward concept comes into picture only in archival mode. Now, in archival mode, if you have taken an offline backup, if in archival mode, if the backup can be online or offline, but if you have taken an offline backup, then you have the choice, you have the option of not rolling forward. In that case, you have to specify the keyword called without rolling forward. So you in archival mode, if you have taken an offline backup, then you can skip roll forward operation, but in that case you have to use without rolling forward option. If you are restoring from online backup, okay, and online backup is only possible in archival mode, you cannot skip roll forward and must perform roll forward operation. So let's repeat this. If the roll forward is something that is determined by two factors. One is whether the database is in circular mode or archival mode. In circular mode, you don't have the concept of rolling forward. A rolling forward concept only comes into archival mode. In archival mode, again it is determined by two factors, whether backup is online or offline. By default, DB2 will prompt you to perform the roll forward. You have the choice of skipping it, but that choice is only limited to offline backup. You don't have that choice in online backup. Okay, so how do you actually take an tablespace level backup? The tablespace level backup is pretty simple. Okay, you just deactivate the database, force all applications, deactivate the database, and you fire this command. The command remains same except that you specify the tablespace name. Now if you want to take backup of multiple tablespaces in one command, that is also possible, and that time you would specify the tablespace name in a comma separated list. Okay, so how do you do the restore? Restore is pretty simple. You just replace the backup keyword with the restore and everything remains same. So if you want to do the restore, the command is pretty simple. Restore db sample, again tablespace name. If you want to do the multiple restores, multiple tablespaces in single command, you can do that, again comma separated list. This is pretty important. If you have taken, and this is, we are talking about offline, yeah, we were talking about offline, sorry, this heading is wrong here. Okay, so we talked about offline. Now if you have taken a offline backup in archival mode, you have the choice of skipping roll forward. In case of tablespace level backup, that choice is no longer there, which means if you have taken offline tablespace level backup, you need to perform roll forward. You cannot specify without rolling forward. So we'll see this in exercises, and again the point is the tablespace offline backup or online tablespace backup, irrespective of what kind of backup it is. To take a tablespace level backup, your database must be in archival mode. Okay, so here is okay, let's see if we have anything. Okay, so the backup directory has been created. There is no image over there. Let's see if we have a database called test. If it is, yes, it is there. I'm going to drop it. The reason why I'm going to drop it is I'm going to start fresh. So in front of your eyes, yes, the database has been dropped. Okay, so we'll clear the screen, and what we'll do is we will create a database called test. Once we create the database test, I'll create some small table called T1. I'll insert 2 records in it. The T1 will be created in the one of the default table spaces called user space 1. So while creating a T1, I will specify the name of the table space. So T1 will be limited to that particular table space. What we would do is we would drop the particular container of that particular table space. Once we drop that container, we would actually try to restore it from the table space level backup. See if that container comes back. Try to access the data. If not, what is the problem? Okay. Before going for the backup, I'll try to take an offline tablespace level backup in circular mode. We all know that by default the database is configured in circular mode. So when this database is created, when this test database is created, yeah, that time that particular database will be in circular login mode. So what we would do, we'll try to take a offline tablespace level backup. Okay, so that's not possible. And you see this keyword is pretty important here. The recoverable means it is not in archival mode. Okay, and that is why you are not able to take the tablespace level backup for this particular database, because it is not in recoverable mode. What we would do is, like, we'll configure this. I'll use log argmath1 to set to log retain, take a dummy backup. Okay, and then take a dummy backup and try to the command that failed here. The command that it failed here, see, we got a failure. Okay, I'm going to rerun that command. Yes, now you got the backup image. So you see, we had, yeah, once we configured the database in archival mode, we were able to take a offline tablespace level backup. The command was this, and since we did not specify keyword called any keyword, and there is no keyword called offline, I'm repeating this again and again. Okay, so that since we did not specify any keyword, this is an offline tablespace level backup. Okay, now we'll try to take a full database level backup. We'll see the differences. Okay, so this is the full database level backup. Now we have 2 images here. Can you spot a difference? One, you see the full backup is of close to 500 MB while this is of 300 MB. Okay, and you see both the backups were compressed. You see the tablespace level backup was also compressed and the full backup was also compressed. Okay, and you see there is a difference here, 0 and 3. What does this signify? Okay, so 0 signifies that it's a full database backup, while 3 indicates it's a tablespace level backup. There is no way using this particular image, okay, using the naming convention, there is no way to find out whether this is a offline or online backup. It is possible, but for that you need to use db2 CKBKP utility, check backup utility. I'm not going to go there. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of both of these images because I don't want these images. We'll take a backup when we actually create a table, because we have to prove the fact that once we do the tablespace level backup, we are able to see the data. And right now we have not created a table, and neither we have inserted this particular data. So let me get rid of. So I have got rid of both of these backups. Okay, so next step would be to create a dummy table, insert 2 records in it and select from it. Let me clear the screen for you. Okay, connected. I was connected to that particular database which we just created. A dummy table called T1 got created. We inserted 2 records. You see I have specified user space 1 here. Okay, 2 records got inserted, 1 and 2, and let's select. Okay, so the timestamp, I did not specify the timestamp, but because there is a default constraint on column C2, a timestamp got inserted automatically. Okay, so right now we have 2 records in that particular table T1, which is in user space 1. Okay, user space 1 was created by default by db2. db2 creates 3 table spaces for you by default. One of them is user space 1. Now let's actually see where is the container for that particular table space. So you will use db2 pd. Okay, so the container seems to be this. Okay, so this is the container. So what we would do is, like, we will get rid of that container, but before getting rid of that, I have not taken a backup. So let me connect reset. Since I'm taking a offline backup, no active connections to that particular table space, and we would try to take a okay, so I'll clear the screen. Let's prove that there is nothing in this image. Okay, so you see we have taken a offline tablespace level backup 3. Okay, now what we will do, we will use the output of this particular command and get rid of this container. So okay, so we have removed it. Okay, so let's go to this particular path, prove that that particular file no longer exists. Okay, it does not exist. There is one more way to prove that that particular file does not exist. So what we will do is, like, we'll go back to home directory, backup, okay, and clear the screen. Okay, we'll try to connect to that particular database and select from that particular table. Okay, so you see, okay, I try to select that particular table. I should have not done everything, but when I try to do the select star, I got this message: select tablespace access is not allowed. Okay, let me do this again, actually, because I tried to do too many things at one. The screen got filled up. So okay, so I've connected and I'm trying to select from, and we are getting a message: tablespace access is not allowed. Okay, why? We know the reason because I have done it, but let's say somebody else has done it and I don't know the reason. So we'll use db2 pd command once again to find out what exactly happened to that particular tablespace. Okay, seems like okay. So where is, okay, so user space 1, what's the state of it? Okay, the state of it is 4000. Okay, so what we will do, we'll clear the screen again and we will use db2 tbst command. Okay, offline and not accessible, perfectly fine, because that container is no longer there. db2 thinks that that particular container file is offline, or that particular table space is offline, and that is the reason why we are not able to access the data. Okay, so all good, all fine. Good thing is we have taken a tablespace level backup. Okay, we'll also prove that the backup that we took, I'll just want to show you that command once again. The backup that we took, okay, was user space 1. Okay, so this is the backup that we have taken. what I wanted to show you is I will actually show you where we created T1. So we will try to find out in which table space the T1 was created. Okay, so T1 was created in user space 1, and that's the container for that is what we have dropped. So this is the container that we have dropped. Okay, and this is the same table space for which we are getting the state as 4000. Okay, and that 4000 indicates it is offline and not accessible. Now what would we will do in this condition? Since we have a backup, we'll try to restore it. Okay, now what I will try to show you is like if, as I said before, if it was in archival mode, if you have taken an offline backup, you can skip. If you have taken an offline backup, you can skip the rolling forward. So we'll try to do the same here on. We know that this was the offline tablespace level backup, so we will try to do this without rolling forward. See what we get. Okay, this indicates roll forward is required following the restore, which means if you are trying to do the restore on at the tablespace level backup, you cannot skip roll forward operation. So it is again opposite to how it behaves with the full database backup. In case of tablespace level backup, if you have performed the restore, you cannot go for without rolling forward. So what we would do here is like we will use the same option. Okay, so the restore is been done. Okay, so let's actually prove that the container that we deleted, see here, okay, when we got rid of this container, okay, the files under this path were 0. Okay, so let me go to that path again. Let's prove that that particular file is there. Okay, so that particular file seems to have appeared. Why it appeared? Because we did the restore. Okay, so this particular container came back. Okay, so now what we'll do, we'll try to connect to that particular database and again try to select star. Okay, so since the container has come back, we should be able to get the data. Okay, oh, interesting, still we are not able to access the data. What could be the reason? We have done the restore, the container file that got deleted, that has reappeared again, but seems like Db2 does not allow us to select from that particular table. What could be the reason? So we would use again the Db2 PD command, okay, to find out the state of the tablespace. Okay, so the state of the tablespace seems to be 80. Okay, here we go. Okay, so after offline tablespace level restored, the Db2 is requesting us or asking us to do the roll forward. So although we are able to connect to database, we are still not able to access the data within that particular tablespace because that particular tablespace is in roll forward pending. So we'll do the roll forward to end of logs. Okay, I'll clear the screen. Okay, so yep, looks like we have done the roll forward and it has completed successfully. So what we will do now is we'll try to connect to test and see if we are able to select the data from that particular tablespace. Sorry, table which is in, and looks like yes we are. So some of the things that we learned here is yes, you can take an offline tablespace level backup. Db2 allows you to take an offline tablespace level backup. Point number 2, the database has to be in archival mode, not something which is similar to your full offline database backup. Full offline database backup can be taken in circular as well as in archival mode, but tablespace level backup, be it an offline or be it be online, it has to be in archival mode. The database has to be in archival mode. If you have taken an offline backup in archival mode, after restore you have the option, during the restore, not after restore, during the restore you have the option of not rolling forward the database, and you can use the keyword called without rolling forward. If you are restoring from an offline tablespace level backup or online tablespace level backup, Db2 will not allow you to restore from will not allow you to skip the roll forward operation. You have to perform the roll forward operation after you perform the after you are restoring the tablespace level backup. And one more point is, you can identify whether it is a tablespace level backup or not using the second identifier. 0 will indicate is a full backup, 3 will indicate is a tablespace level backup, 4 will indicate it was generated using load copy option. Okay, so there are only 3 values that I am aware of: 0 for full, 3 for tablespace level backup, 4 for load copy. Hope this tutorial was useful to you. Do pass the comments so that I can improvise. Thank you.